Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elle and today I'm going to be doing a video where I chat about some obsessed heroes that are just completely obsessed with their heroines, and I'm really excited for this video. I have some really great books on this list, so let's get right into this one. The first book I'm going to talk about is Twisted Lies by Annie Huang. So the first 3 books in this series were not my favorite, so I was really hesitant to read Twisted Lies, but I just fell in love with this story and thought it was so good. I really liked this one. So this starts off with our heroine Stella, and she is a Instagram influencer and she has like about 800,000 followers, and she really needs to bump up her following. She's been kind of stuck at this number for a really long time, and her manager gives a suggestion of, why don't you get a boyfriend, be in a relationship, because all of these other influencer couples have millions of followers. And she's like, okay, I don't know if I really want to do that, but maybe. And so she ends up trying to find somebody she can fake date and have like as a fake boyfriend, and that's when our hero Christian comes in. And Christian is kind of a billionaire, and he works in, I think it's like surveillance, and he has just been obsessed with Stella ever since he met her. Like, an example of this is that he owns this apartment building where she is staying, and he made like the rent significantly cheaper just for her. And he is just like totally obsessed with her, and I loved that about this book. And so he is like, I can be your fake boyfriend, and it is just, and she's like, okay. And she thinks he's very stoic, and just like she couldn't believe that he suggests this. And so they start kind of having this fake relationship, and she goes to events with him, and they both start falling really hard for each other, and it is just so good. I loved Christian, and I loved how obsessed he was with the heroine. He is just like, nobody will mess with Stella. I am her protector, and he would get jealous of anybody who would try to mess with her, and I just like loved him so much. And he gets very possessive of her, but in like a healthy way. And I just really enjoyed this romance. And another example is that he would have this, he didn't have any social media, so he had this like fake Instagram just so he could see like her Instagram feed of their pictures together. And I just love him, and I love this romance, so definitely go check it out if you haven't read it yet. The next book I'm going to talk about is An Earl to Remember by Stacey Reed. I am in love with this book. I read it a couple of weeks ago and just fell in love with Stacey Reed and her writing. So this is kind of a take on the movie Overboard, and so this is also a historical romance. So our heroine is a chef on this ship, and the hero is a ladies' man. He has a mistress, and he was expecting his like mistress to come back with 2 women to do, you know, things with, and the heroine accidentally walks into his room, and he basically kind of like forces like a kiss on her, and they have like a moment together, and she's like, what's going on? And he realizes that she is not who he thinks she is. And so she is, like I said, the chef on this ship, and he basically fires her because his mistress is jealous of her. And so he ends up accidentally falling overboard and washes up on shore in her small town. He cannot remember who he is. He's an Earl, by the way. And so when he gets to this like jail, I think it's like a hospital or something, he sees her and he recognizes that they had this like shared moment together. Like, he remembers her, but not like anything of why he remembers her. And so he is about to like tell everybody that they had, you know, like sexual relations, and she like shouts out like randomly like, he's my husband. And so she ends up taking him back to her home, who she shares with her younger sisters, and he starts having to work on the farm and becoming more of like doing more chores than he's ever done in his life before. And he is just obsessed with the heroine. He's always like touching her and loving on her, and he really takes charge of being like the man of the house. But he's also like, I can't believe I'm this poor person. Like, I always thought I was this like very wealthy person. And they just fall really hard for each other, and I love this romance. I just love how like obsessed the hero was with the heroine. Like, he would track her wherever she went. Like, he would be there, and I just like loved him so much. He was definitely a highlight of this story for me, and it was just such a great historical romance. Highly recommend. The next book I'm going to talk about is Keep Her Safe by QB Tyler. This one, if you want a very, very spicy forbidden romance, I would recommend this one. So our heroine is a like very famous actress and model, and about like 5 years ago the hero was taken on as her bodyguard. Her parents were like, we need you to have a bodyguard because things are just unsafe with your safety now that you're getting more fame. And so they hire on the hero, and instantly they have this like attraction to each other, but he's like, I can't cross that line. And she is actually also in a relationship. So now it is 5 years later, and she gets out of that relationship and she makes it known that she is attracted to him. And it is just so good. It is very spicy, very forbidden. And he's like, I can't cross this line with you, but I can't stop myself. And he's very protective over her as like her boyfriend, but also her bodyguard. And there's some suspense in this one because she has a suspected stalker, and I just love this one. There's also an age gap, and it was just perfect. Chef's kiss. I like couldn't stop myself from grinning while reading this book. I just was obsessed with this one. It was so good. Definitely read it if you haven't. It is one of my favorite books of the year. I just loved this book. The next book I have on this list is 'Tis a Season for Revenge. This is I mean, you could read it not around the holidays. I mean, it is kind of like Christmassy themed, but not like full on Christmas, I feel like. So the heroine gets out of a really bad relationship. Her boyfriend just would always kind of just like shit on her and be like, you know, you shouldn't be wearing this. Like, I don't want you coming to my holiday party for work, because he kind of thinks she's this like blonde bimbo. And so when they break up, she makes a decision to get back at him, and she does that by dating his boss. And she didn't realize how hard she would fall for his boss, and the boss is just like the epitome of a man, just like obsessed with the heroine. Obsessed. Like, he is just like, whatever you need, I will be there for you. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot get over this man. I still think about it to this day, and I read this book over a year ago, and I just loved how he was so considerate of her, even though like at the time he didn't know like that she was doing this just to get back at her ex, but then she started falling for him, and it was just absolutely incredible. I love this romance, and he's a little bit older than her, and it was very spicy and fun, and I just really love this romance. Highly recommend if you want a possessive hero. This book was incredible. The next book I'm going to talk about is Juniper Hill by Daphne Perry. This book is so good. This is a small town romance. So our heroine is new to town, and she just came to town, and she just had a baby, and she really has nowhere else to go. And so she gets this job as, I think she's working as a maid at the local like hotel inn, and she's also staying in this like apartment house thing where it's like the hero's apartment over his garage or something. And she is really struggling right now. She doesn't know what is going to happen with her life, and so it is kind of a little like grumpy sunshine. Like, the hero's a little grumpy, but he really takes her in and really cares for her. And this is a small town romance, single mom, and I remember just really loving this romance, and just I was like giddy while reading it. The hero is so considerate and helpful, and like an example of this is like when her baby would cry at night and wouldn't stop, he would come and like help her and like rock the baby. And I just loved this romance. I loved how sweet the hero was, how he just was there for the heroine through her like tough time of being like a first mom. And I just really enjoyed this romance. It was really good, and I loved how like caretaker taking, like the caretaking of the hero was impeccable, and I just love this one. The last book I'm going to talk about is Glimmers of You by Catherine Cowles. So this starts off with our hero and heroine have been best friends since they were young. The hero is also like best friends with the heroine's older brothers, and so something happens where they are on like a hike together, and the heroine basically collapses, and the hero just gets really freaked out by this. What they don't know is that the heroine has diabetes, and so it is just like devastating for the hero to see the heroine like collapse like that, and it really just like scares him, and so he ends up like leaving town for a long time, and now he is back in town, and he is back around the heroine's family, and the heroine just like detests him for leaving her and kind of like destroying their friendship. And so one day the heroine is kind of being accosted by this guy. They went on like one date, and the guy just can't take a hint that she is not interested in him. And so the first person that she sees, she says that they are in a relationship, and that ends up being the hero. And so the hero, like, even though he distanced himself away from the heroine, he is like obsessed with the heroine, has been for so long, has like really like real feelings for the heroine. And so they end up going into this like fake dating relationship, and it is so good. I love how both of them are a little obsessed with each other, but like don't want to admit it to the other, and it's kind of a little bit hate to love, fake relationship, friends to lovers, and it's also a small town, and there's some suspense in this one, and I just loved this romance. And the hero's also a billionaire, so that was another plus for me. I just really loved this romance, and Catherine Cowles can do no wrong in my mind. I've loved every single romance that I've read from her, so definitely go check this one out if you haven't yet. Alright, well, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me chat about some of my favorite obsessed heroes, and I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.